Hey everyone, Ariel Adams here with aBlogtoWatch. Please subscribe to our videos on YouTube and like this video if you find it useful. This is a review of the Casio WSD-F10, and this is Casio's first ever Android Wear powered smartwatch. And I'm really excited to review it because I've been waiting for Casio to come out with a product like this for a long time. What you're seeing on the display right now is the always on low power state screen. Which is great because that means that this is one of those smartwatches that has basically two LCD screens, and this allows it to have not just an always on state, but a very sort of high contrast, easy to read always on state. Now, as far as I know, you can't really change the look of this screen, at least not for now, but I'm very, very happy to say that there isn't sort of a blank screen on the dial all the time if the screen isn't activated. In addition to this, running Android Wear and having Casio's own in-house made faces on it, there's a few other tricks up the sleeve of this watch that I'll talk about. Because it's in my hand, I'm going to sort of show you the charging cable. And it's funny, now that I'm reviewing smartwatches in addition to traditional watches, really sort of running the gamut of all different types of watches, there's like new things you have to talk about. So like traditional watches, talking about battery life and charging it is not something which is an issue. So you can see here on the side of the case, there is a port for the magnetic charging cable, which goes in there just like that. It just fell off right there. But as you can see, it is magnetic and it holds well if it's on a table or something like that. It works fine. And there's a lot of other watches like this. What I'd like to see them do sooner than later, especially since this is just a USB powered charger that can connect to a wall plug or your computer or whatever, is make it so that it holds on to the case better. And again, it holds on there pretty well. But let's say you are on the go and you are camping or you're in the car, and you want to charge the watch, let's say you keep this in the car, for example, and you want to charge it, and you're going to use your car adapter, for the USB in order to charge it. It becomes difficult to do so that way because you have this relatively delicate connection, and if you're driving around and things are moving around or it's in a bag, it's very easy to disconnect. And so I think the stock way that they have it makes it simple if it's just on a desk or something like that, but there should be another included adapter that it's more like a claw or it holds the watch or something like that, where you could have it charge while you're on the go and not worry about the connector coming out. Now, this is one of the screens that Casio designed themselves, and it's cool, and you can see here that you can change it, have a couple different colors there. There's not too many options, and that's one of the things that I'd like to say to Casio is, now that you've created these cool dials, and some of them are inspired by, G-Shocks and other watches that, people know and love, and some of them are unique, but I feel like I want even more customizations. Having just 3 versions of this one doesn't feel like enough. And there's additional customization you can do, but you have to use an app. Now, that's sort of one of the issues that is inherent, not just to this device, but many different Android Wear devices, is that there is the Android Wear app on the phone, and then oftentimes there's yet another app. So here you can see Casio Moment Setter Plus, and I'm on the screen here that allows you to change the dial. So let's go to this one, for example, and you can see at the bottom here it says Edit Dials, Edit Color, or Use this watch face. And edit is maybe not the best term, because when it says edit, that implies there's a huge amount of variety where there isn't. So on this one, for example, you can see here, there are a couple of different sub-dials, and what I like is you can program it, right? So for this top one here, you can change it to be the battery level, the phone battery level, an altimeter. This one you have a few options, and the other one you have a few options here. So you can see that refers to these 3 top dials here. And it's really cool, like this one right here is a compass, and you touch it, and it becomes a compass. There we go. So now it's a little compass, which is really cool. And I actually haven't. Oh no, it's a step counter now. I think I have to go in there and actually physically change it to compass mode because I had it as a step counter. But you can see there, that's the idea. Here's the barometer, battery thing, and that's cool. So when this one is the compass, when you touch it, it actually activates the compass, so you can see the compass function while you're just using the dial, which I think is pretty cool. Let's look at some of the other ones here. This one I actually like a lot. This looks basic. It's actually, I don't know if you can tell there, but what they've done is they have both screens on at the same time, and it creates a little bit of a three-dimensional effect, which is really cool, and I think well done. And so you can see when it turns off there to the other screen, you have sort of a seamless effect. I think it's actually just really nicely done, because it's very rare that you get a true three-dimensional effect there. So let's look at just a couple more screens there. Casio did an excellent job coming up with different dials, and some of them are for different purposes. For this one, for example, it has the time, but it's mostly focused on climbing, right? So you have your current altitude and your max altitude. There's just some of the stock ones that come with. See, look, compare, like this is just one that comes with like Android Wear, boring, and then you have like something cool like this. And so what I think is one of the key values from brands like Casio, when they come out with this and other smartwatches, is leverage their skills as a designer to come up with really cool actual dials. They should be coming out with new dials all the time. They should be interesting. They should be fun. Here's the field one. I happen to have it in blue right now. And again, you have the same type of customization there. So here you have the compass. There's actually dedicated compass mode, but there, I guess I'm not putting it in compass mode. I guess when I touch it, it changes the actual instrument. That's cool. I have to play with that more. But what I wanted to say is, you see this button up here. These are the top button, the bottom button here. These are programmable. One says tool, one says app, and this is something which is also unique to the product that most Android Wear watches don't have. They have just one home screen button. And so, for example, I push this one here. I have to. That's why the compass wasn't going. I got to do the dance. There we go. Now, this is another screen that Casio developed for the compass. And so this is a little bit of a new design language. You might see this in some of Casio's software, but on their watches, like on the G-Shock or ProTrek models, this design language wasn't there. And if you push on this, you have various different types of tools there. So in addition to sort of just being a smartwatch, you have what's called the triple sensor functionality that you see in a lot of ProTrek models, and that's compass, altimeter, barometer. This one doesn't have a thermometer in there, but that's okay. I don't have a problem with that, because it can actually get live weather data, which is probably going to be better. So you can see here, if I push through these, I can cycle through these. And these are designed really, really nicely. There's a bunch of them. I don't have all of them activated. There's a nice sunrise, sunset one. And so I think these are designed in a nice way. Unfortunately, not customizable in terms of the look, but I think the animations are smooth. It operates pretty clearly. And the compass is really cool. I just think that's really fun. This bottom one here is basically a customizable app launcher. So I think I have it going to weather, about to ring. I don't know why it's doing that. I was playing this earlier and I messed with a bunch of things. I like having this go to the weather app. There's actually some app, I forget what it's called, but it actually has like live weather radar data, which I find pretty cool, to see the little map of the sort of the weather radar right there on the screen. Right here is a microphone. What makes this sort of I'll say it, a Casio smartwatch is the fact that it's not amazingly durable, but it's much more durable than a lot of smartwatches out there. It lives up to a certain military spec. I forget the exact number that's of course in the review, but it's also water resistant to 50 meters, which means you can go swimming with it. I wouldn't say diving, but you can definitely wade in water, get this thing wet. It's definitely, I'll call splash resistant plus, and that's a big deal. Steel case back, nice high quality resin body, feels good. It's a large watch. It is over 54 millimeters wide. It's on the thicker side, but it weighs very little. It weighs just over 90 grams. The strap is not thick, and so it feels very comfortable on the wrist, even though it is, in honesty, a relatively large timepiece. And part of that is to incorporate the battery. But in terms of proportions, Casio did a good job because they have a nice wide strap. It's integrated. And again, the strap has this nice texture, which makes it feel a little bit visually reduced in size. But again, this is probably going to be among the larger smartwatches out there. I have some pictures, I think, on Instagram where I compared the WSD-F10 to like the Apple Watch, and it was like the Apple Watch was much smaller in comparison. So as a daily wear, this might be a little on the hefty side, but if you're doing sort of outdoorsy activities and things like that, it's going to be fine and fit in, and having those additional functions is cool. I like the fact that it can survive on its own as a timepiece, and what I mean by that is that it's not sort of just like strictly limited in functionality to being tethered to a phone. Of course, you know, Android Wear as it is in this iteration is able to connect directly to the internet, but that doesn't matter if you're out in the wild. What I'm saying is it has that sensor functionality, and you can take it into Timepiece Mode, as they call it, which disconnects it from its host device. And like I said, in that mode, given the functionality built into the watch, it can do a lot more than most other smartwatches, which, if you take them out of tethered or connected mode with the smartphone, they basically just tell the time and that's it. And the WSD-F10 can do more. Battery life is about a day. Nothing amazing, but it's on par with most of the other watches out there of this ilk. Like I said, build quality is good. The software that Casio designed in terms of the watch faces and stuff like that is top notch, and I hope they do more. Again, inherent to the whole sort of concept of an Android Wear device, there's certain settings that you do in the watch, there's certain settings you do in the Android Wear app, there's certain settings in the Casio Moment Setter Plus app. So it gets a little bit, wonky or quirky when it comes to how to set certain things or adjust certain features, but that's not Casio's fault right now. That's just sort of part of where we're at with these devices, but it's going to get better, and I think that Casio did a really excellent job with the first iteration of their smartwatch, and I'm happy that they did it. I'm looking forward to wearing this more and whatever comes next. And again, this is the Casio WSD-F10. Retail price is $500. It comes in a couple different color versions, and you can see the full review on aBlogtoWatch. Thanks.